Hi everyone, I am Puneeta. I am a master trainer of NLP, that is Neuro Linguistic Programming, and today we are going to talk about learning styles. You have been to school, colleges, or probably you are in a college right now, or maybe you are done with your college, you are done with your studies, your graduation, and now you are into a job. But do you still know that learning style is something that a lot of students are not aware of? And if you understand your learning style, your studies, your remembering and your recall capacity will increase to such an extent that your productivity will rise. So many of you are into jobs or businesses, but have you realized that why do you tend to sometimes forget things? Or why do you don't get the results that you were expecting from a particular situation? Maybe because you were not using the right kind of learning style. Now, what is a learning style? Learning styles can be categorized into visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and something called auditory digital. Now I know all these terms, they sound too much technical for you, but today I'll make it easier for you, and trust me, after listening to this video, you will be able to understand your learning style in a better way. So let me ask you this question. Can you think of an amazing vacation that you had in the past? Any vacation? So close your eyes now and think about the vacation that you went for and you had an amazing time. Get the visuals from the vacation, whatever you can see. Get the sounds from the vacation, whatever you can hear. And get the feelings from the vacation, whatever you can feel. I really want you to relive this vacation. Now, I want you to feel the way you felt during this vacation. All the emotions, the feelings, and at the same time remember the food you had during the vacation so that you can get the taste, the smell. Now, after having all these details in front of you, what excites you the most? Or what is something that you can recall without any deletions? When I say deletions, let me give you an example here. I'm sure you must have watched a movie. And when you watch a movie, you cannot remember each and every part of the movie because if a movie is of 1 or 1.5 or 2 hours, it is practically impossible to remember each and every content from the movie. Now suppose you are watching this movie with a friend of yours, and after you come back, the friend asks you a question. Hey, do you like the place where the particular scene was shot? You know that scene wherein the actor and the actress, they were around a mountain? And you try to remember, what scene are you talking about? I'm sorry, I don't remember the mountain that you're talking about, or probably there was no mountain. And you people get into an argument that why don't you remember that there was a mountain, the actor was standing there, the actress was standing there. And you say, no, I am sorry, I don't remember such a scene. Probably you are talking about some other movie. And after this brainstorming, what you guys do is, you go, you open your laptop and you try to figure out where that scene was. And to your surprise, you actually find the scene. So how your friend remembers that particular scene, but you don't remember the scene? Maybe because your visual senses were not active. I'm not saying 0% active. No, they were active, but they're not 100% active while watching that particular scene. Now, this was just an example to tell you how visuals work. See, sometimes you are able to identify all the visuals around you, and there are times when you're not able to remember or recall the visuals around you, which is completely okay. It doesn't mean you have some problem that you don't remember things. Similarly, you must have seen that whenever you go and listen to a presentation, like right now you are listening to me, do you think you will be remembering each and every word of what I'm speaking? Of course, it's impossible, right? So that means you are using your auditory knowledge, your auditory learning while watching this video. So you will be remembering certain sounds, some phrases, some words or sentences from this video, and you will be able to recall them later, which is called your auditory learning. Similarly, you have kinesthetic learning, which is more about feelings. Now, I'm sure you must be feeling something on that vacation that we were talking about. Remember the vacation? Yeah. So today, if I have to ask you, how did you feel in that vacation or during that vacation? I am sure you will be able to pinpoint a few emotions or maybe one emotion clearly, and you will be able to share it with me. So suppose if you say, oh, I felt peaceful. I was so happy during this vacation and I felt at peace, right? This is nothing but your kinesthetic learning. Now, since you have understood what is visual learning, what is auditory learning, what is kinesthetic learning, let me tell you that all of us definitely are using all the senses, all the learnings, but one becomes the primary learning style, and that is the learning style we are talking about. You know, our primary learning style is affecting our life so much. So if suppose you have a child, or if you are a child yourself, you must be learning different subjects. You're learning physics, mathematics, geography, history, economics, so many subjects. Now there are different ways to learn a subject. So for an example, if you have to learn math for yourself, what can you do? One is you can go through the books and solve the questions that are there in the book. And the other way is that you can apply the same thing outside. You know how we teach a child? When a child goes to kindergarten or first class and you have to teach them addition or subtraction, what happens? You ask them that, okay, what is 2 plus 2? And the child counts on fingers that, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or maybe you give them certain blocks that, this is one block, this is second block. What is 1 plus 1? So he is going to add these two blocks and it comes to 2, right? Or the child can solve it on a piece of paper. So if you look at it, there are different ways of finding answers to the same question. But you know what, unfortunately, because of our educational system, I'm not saying everywhere because now it's getting upgraded, but then in most of the schools, we are still following only one pattern. Now, if there are 60 students sitting in a class and you are giving only one pattern to all the 60 students, do you think it's going to work for all of them? No. Why? Because some kids sitting there are visual. They want to see some pictures and that's how they learn. They want to look at a presentation and that's how they learn. There are kids sitting in the classroom which are auditory. Now, when they are auditory, they want to hear the sounds, they want to speak, they want to listen, and that's how they learn. And there are kids who are kinesthetic. They want to jump into action, they want to feel it, and that's how they learn. But what we are doing, we are giving them only one type of learning. It is either visual sometimes, it is either auditory, or it is either kinesthetic. But we forget that people who are sitting in this room, the kids who are sitting in this room, some might have visual, some might have auditory, and some might have kinesthetic learning style. So how do we go about it? So first step is to identify your learning style. And how do you identify? Go back to the same vacation we were talking about and see what you can recall the most, what you can remember the most. Is it the visuals, the auditory, or the kinesthetic? Yes, there are smells and taste also, but we don't consider them as a part of primary learning style. So in primary learning style, we will have V, A, K. V for visual, A for auditory, and K for kinesthetic. And don't judge yourself based on only one vacation. You will have to keep observing yourself. How do you recall the incidents? So if I have to ask you that, start observing yourself in different situations, how do you remember the learning or the knowledge? And that would be your answer for your learning style. Now there is a fourth learning style also, which we don't consider as a part of primary learning style, but it is very, very important. And we call it AD, that is Auditory Digital. Auditory Digital helps you to understand how logical you are. So you must be having a friend or your sibling who is very good with the knowledge of gadgets. And whenever you have to buy a gadget, it could be a mobile phone, it could be a laptop, you actually reach out to this person and ask that, hey, you know what, I'm planning to buy a laptop, this is my requirement, can you please help me what laptop, which model I should buy? And the person does all the research and gives you an answer. Probably because the person is able to apply AD, that is auditory digital logic, in the scenario. So this is how AD becomes very important. Now you must be wondering, how do I understand whether I am high on AD or not? So this can only be analyzed again by observing yourself, how logical you are. Do you usually get carried away by what people are saying, or you apply your curious mind and try to research the same topic, or you are using your brain a lot when somebody is giving you some knowledge? So for an example, you are listening to me right now. A lot of you must be accepting whatever I am saying without using your logical side of the brain. But then there are people, I am sure, who are listening to me and at the same time they are applying a lot of logics. So this is where your AD comes into picture. Now even if you have a low AD, it doesn't mean that you are wrong or you are not intelligent. No, each and every human being, all of us have a different way of analyzing the data that is coming from the outside world as an event or as an information. So probably you are applying AD less because maybe you are high on visual or auditory or kinesthetic part of it. And hence it is okay. But yeah, if you really want to be curious, you need to start applying logics here and there so that you can increase your AD, because increasing AD definitely gives us better results and better productivity in each and every area of life, right? So today we learned about these learning styles, and I would really want that you identify your learning style. This is an easiest way to identify, that is by observing. Of course, we have multiple techniques in NLP that helps us to identify our learning styles. Like you can go through some psychometric assessments, and then there is something called accessing cues, which is an amazing concept wherein you look at the eye movements, and just by looking at the eye movements, you will be able to identify your learning style. And trust me, eyes don't lie. So it gives you the exact result, right? But then for now, I believe the general observation can be a good start, and later on, if you get a chance to understand what accessing cues are, it would give you more clarity. So that's about learning styles. I hope it gave you some understanding about why do you remember certain things and why you don't, and which is your primary learning style. So that's it for today. Thank you so much.